Okie dokie. What was I doing? Well, I'm completely lost. Good morning, everybody. I literally have no idea what I was doing. I think I was starting to stream, but my cat is not cooperating once again. Seriously? Oh, this is just ridiculous. Okay, there's OBS. There we go. Okay, so it looks like it's streaming properly. I just have a cat in the way of the taskbar. But it looks like we're good. Good morning, everybody. It is January 30th, 2017, on a Monday. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Hello, Harry. Hopefully we'll be going back to AI today after a short break. But again, just depends on any viewers. If anyone has any questions or comments or needs assistance with something I might be able to help them with, feel free to ask in chat. But the first thing what I'm going to do for sure here is someone's been having an issue with trying to... Okay, so he's got the MVP FPS project. He was following through it. He skipped a couple steps, but eventually got caught up, and now he's working with the stamina system. And if we remember back to this system, we have a stamina system built in where you can sprint for a little bit of time and the stamina drains. Now his issue is he wants the sprint to stop if you let go of the movement keys. So I'm running forward, I'm sprinting, I let go of forward, he wants the sprint to basically stop. His issue is he's having troubles with it. And then he also wants it where the stamina drain will not happen if you're standing still. So I'm going to do a quick little really dirty suggestion here, but hopefully it can get the basics of understanding it and he can go from there. So for that viewer, hopefully you're watching that later or now or whenever, let's go ahead and go over that. So I've already got a system set up in place here. I need to fix a few small things to make things better, but I have a system in place. Basically, if I'm running, it's normal speed. I hit the shift key, I'm sprinting. You can see in the bottom right, it drains. So that's all normal, nothing fancy there. But I have it set up now where if I'm sprinting and I let go, it's going to automatically stop me from sprinting, and it's going to keep going. The way it was set up before was you hit the shift button to sprint, and then you hit the shift button again to cool down. Like you can see here, running, I hit shift and it cools down. Now it's shift, or I let go, and it'll stop sprinting. So that is our goal there. So let me show him the code on that one. Hello, Rodrigo and Dragos. Let me finish up the code here, and then we'll move on to anything after that. So inside of our character, all I did is added one thing. This is our... Where is it at? Actually, it's in our controller, because our controller has that code. This is our existing stuff. We have our axis for moving forward and our axis for moving right. And basically you want to know if these things are not doing anything anymore. Now you can put some code in here, and you can put some code in here, then you can check. Then the easiest way is probably to check if your axis value is not equal to 0, basically. If it's equal to 0, you're not having input. If it is equal to 0, then, or near 0, you probably have no input. As these are axes, they're basically pulled every frame, so we're always going to get a value. We're always going to get 0, 1, or something like that. Now, I originally put in the code I'm about to show in here, and it works fine. The problem is, like he ran into, it'll only work fine on one axis. The problem is if you're pushing forward, and then you let go forward slightly to push left, or you're going at an angle, basically, whenever you let go of one of the buttons, it's causing an issue. So what we want to do is we want to check and make sure all of the buttons have an input, or we want to check and see the input for all the buttons. And you can easily do this. This is not the best way of doing this. This is a little dirty, and this is hard-coded. But hopefully this is just to get the idea working and to show you how it can work. Inside of our project settings, in our input, we have all of our axis mappings, forward, right, etc. You can map the same item to multiple inputs, and this is what we're going to use. We've taken our forward and our right, WSD and A, and mapped them to something called movement directions, WASD. We set their scale to 1. Scale really doesn't matter. All that matters here is we have something other than 0. So by default, 1 is fine. We're not using this for movement. We're just going to query if we actually have any movement input on that tick. So inside of our controller now, we have this function right here. And what it does is it has that movement directions input access, checks the axis value, sees if it's nearly equal to 0. We use a nearly equal to because sometimes floats are weird and they could have 0.0001 or something like that. So, you know, nearly equal is better than equal because floats are odd. But we're basically checking to see, do we have no input on any of those directions? And are we currently sprinting? So that was our question. If we're sprinting and we stop putting in input, then we want to do something. So true. What we're going to do is simply check and see if we have an existing timer, because we're going to set a timer here. If we do have an existing timer, well, there's no need to set it. Again, we've already set it. If we don't, we're going to set a timer called stop sprinting for a quarter of a second here. What we're doing here is we're giving a little bit of a leeway. Basically, we're allowing the player to have a little bit of a time where their fingers can go off the keyboard to give them a little bit of leeway. Again, a floating time. You could set this to very small value, and basically the instant they let go of their key, it's going to immediately trigger this. We do this, I'm doing this with 0.25 because I found for me, it allows me to easily, for example, be moving forward, briefly let go of my forward key, push the left key, and still not lose my sprint. So we do that, and then we store a value for our timer. This is important because this is the timer we're checking right here. So check it. If we don't have one, set it, and then stop, and then store the timer. Now this timer is pretty simple. We go down here and find where I put it. It's right here. I should probably put it up top. You know what? I'm going to move it up top. But basically, this is our event for toggling sprinting. All we're doing is taking that code, and we are putting it in its own event. Oh, son of a gun. So I accidentally copied. I cut it, and then I copied nothing. So let's try that again. There we go. So this is our stop sprinting event. Really simple. Whenever we call it, we set our variable to no longer be sprinting. Clear our timer, because we no longer need our timer since we just called it. And then tell our player we are no longer sprinting. We call the toggle sprint with off. So whenever this is called, we basically shut off sprinting. Now the other option here is if we are not doing any of this. Let's say we are moving, and this is what's important right here. Let's say we are moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. We're sprinting. All of a sudden we decide to go left. We let go of the forward button, and we push left. At that point in time, because we have no input, we're going to start our timer. And we're going to wait that quarter of a second. Now, if we were to do nothing at this point, no matter what, if we immediately pushed forward or another button and we still wanted to keep sprinting, we basically briefly let go of the button. With this timer still running, it's going to stop no matter what. So what we do is, if it's the opposite of wanting to stop it, we just clear the timer no matter what. The nice thing about this is if you clear it, even if there is nothing there, nothing's going to happen. It's basically just going to run and no errors. We're going to basically clear a timer that's already cleared, so we're good. This right here and the false branch and this time here is what allows us to briefly let our finger off the keyboard. If you want it to happen no matter what, then you can basically remove the false loop, or you can change your time to something very minor. Again, briefly let go. So like for example, I can be going forward, sprinting, briefly let go and hit left, and I'll keep sprinting. But the minute I let go for longer than a quarter of a second while I'm sprinting, my timer is immediately going to start going back up, and we're going to stop sprinting. And also you'll notice that was the fact that if he was standing still and he hit the sprint button, it would toggle itself. Well, right now you can see technically, if you look in the bottom right, it does toggle. We hit sprinting, it starts sprinting, it drains our stamina. We can adjust this, or maybe you might want to keep it like it is. They hit the sprint button and they hit forward, so that way, for example, they can sprint from a dead stop. If you don't want that, then basically you want it where if they hit the sprint button, so for example, we would find our sprint button, wherever that's at, you can basically do your check in here that if they are currently not moving but sprinting, then you just don't allow them to sprint. So that's what you would do right there. So hopefully that helps the viewer who had an issue getting the sprinting to behave better. All of this will be available on the live stream later if you're not watching it. I'll also briefly just go back over it in case you want to screenshot it. But here's basically the code we have here. This is basically taking any of our movement keys, which we set in our project settings. It's taking any of them and checking to see if we're sprinting and not moving. And if we are simply clearing our timer. Or, sorry, not clearing our timer. Checking to see if our timer's already set, because we don't want to reset our timer. Setting it, and then saving a variable. And if we don't have these things as true, we want to clear a variable because we are sprinting currently. And the event for the toggle sprinting, the stop sprinting, is just simply setting these variables here. Okay, so hopefully that helps that. I'm going to close this project up, and then I'm going to go back to my document, which I apparently forgot to open up. So we're going to go through this, and then I'm going to go back to the checking also. To answer the question, how long have I been doing Unreal Engine 4? I've been doing Unreal Engine 4 since it went public, so 4.0. So, I don't know, a couple years, however long it's been. Now, Rodrigo had a question about AI, and it looks like Harry was able to help him. Basically, he wanted to know if he has 100 actors in an RTS, should he check every tick to detect nearby enemies? And Harry's answer was basically no. You should never do something like that on every tick. Half a second should be fine. And basically, you, yeah, honestly, that's basically it. And actually, that's a good answer. If you ever watch a lot of your basic AI, unless it's something where it's like a one-on-one boss fight or champion fight or something like that, very rarely is Peon AI ever real time. It's almost always delayed. They're always single-minded, or they have a much lower tick rate because they're much less important to the game. Dragos had a question. Can you make some tutorials about hexagonal turn-based games? I can try, and I will add it to my list, but I can't guarantee anything. That's something very specific, and I haven't really been working on any full-type games. I know grids are something I have an issue with. If you have anything specific about the hexagonal turn-based game that you're looking for information on, I might be able to help with something specific, but in general, not an entire game. And hello, Kazume. So, we were, in theory, last I had actually done something, was we were working on our AI in our new example project. And I wanted to, for the last, like, 4 days, to clean up the AI so we can move on to the next one. Because right now we have some very dirty code, and I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. Because our goal was to re-implement our basic AI, which we did, where we have a basic going place-to-place type of AI. Let's pull it back up. Patrolling. Oops, that would be the wrong button. We had our patrolling map here, where we had the ability to have our AI patrol from point to point, and we set it up where our AI on the actual character, where the hell's that character at? Enemy. We had the ability to set patrol points and different types of patrolling. I think we had issues. Honestly, it has literally been, I don't know how long it's been since we did that, and I'm completely lost. Yeah. So, and I wasn't smart enough to write down what issues I had, so that was awesome. So, yeah, I guess we can't do that. So we'll figure out what we're doing. So we look through the code and just clean up what we had in here for the AI, because I'm pretty sure I had some really ugly code in here. If anyone else can remember what we were doing, feel free to speak up. But to be honest, I know there were some issues. I know it had to do with patrolling, but I literally don't remember what they were. These are our destinations. We have our single target AI. We have our path following AI. We have our interfaces. We have, here we go. We have our basic code here. Wow, that is really big. There we go. So I think this is some of the stuff we just wanted to clean up a little bit. I want to say this is it. And then maybe comment would be smart. Oh, look at that. That's backwards. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to spend a few minutes cleaning up, and then we'll work on adding some more basic AI stuff in here. So this is our looping. This basically selects our next point and goes through. This is going to be our reversing. This is where we check to see if we have any valid points, and we go through. Of course, I flipped these ones on accident. I want to say, yeah, that's our flipping. This is our patrolling right here. So patrol forward, there we go. That's a little cleaner. Going forwards or backwards. Okay, this code is not near as bad as I thought it was, which is a good thing. There we go. Move this down a little bit. Whoop. Please, thank you. Good there, we're good there. We return back with nothing. There we go. Okay, yeah, so that wasn't near as bad as I thought it was. Let's just bring this back in here. Something like that. There we go, so it's like that. Okay. Okay, good. So that wasn't near as bad as I thought it was. Let's see, Dragos. I'm interested especially in movement of characters on the tiles grid. And Harry's got a good answer here. If you're moving in tiles, the technicality of the movement relies on determining what tile you actually hit, and then issue the move command to its center or whatever location. What tile you actually hit with the mouse click. Yeah, so basically, I mean, you're either going to use like a navigational grid, or you're just going to use a basic move to and just ignore collision, for example. That's a definite possibility. And, I mean, honestly, a 3D grid isn't much different than, not a 3D grid, a hexagonal grid. It's just a definition of areas. Now, getting the actual point you hit in terms of which grid it is and moving to it, well, I guess it just depends on if you create the grid individually. That's a lot. You know, that's a lot of, I don't know. If you did something really simple, so for example, you had your grid literally made out of nothing but individual blocks. You could, you know, those are really simple to work with. And you can easily see which one you hit and then move to the appropriate location. So, you know, you had your grid set up. I don't know, what's it? Does that look like something like that? You know, you have a basic grid set up, something like, whoops, that one's not a copy. Something like that. Then, depending on which item you click on, you can easily move to it. And like he's mentioning, the simplest way would be to have each grid be an actor and to get hit actors under cursor node. It's really, you could do something like that, yeah. You set up your grid however you want it. I mean, like, here's a basic hexagonal grid. If, you know, I guess maybe if you looked at it like that, it's kind of like a hexagonal grid. I don't remember what hexagons look like. And, yeah, well, you could easily get the cursor position on the screen. I actually just did the videos on that, getting the mouse cursor. I actually just finished up last week the videos on that one. But there's lots of ways of creating the grid. There's lots of ways of doing this. The proper way would be to keep track of the grid as you create it, and just basically setting like a someone did work on this. This is one of those things where I personally have an issue. This requires math. You create the grid, you use clamping and minning and maxing and rounding, and you determine which actual grid position you're at. that's the efficient way of doing it. The inefficient way would be creating, like me and Harry have suggested, a crap ton of grid, hexagonal grid actors, manually placing everything out, capturing the grid that's underneath the mouse when you click on it, and then you just simply use an AI move to move your character to that position, or just even a manual move to, or even just a relocation. All of those things are pretty not too difficult. Good morning, Sterling. Well, I had a good weekend. Hopefully, everyone else did too. And good morning, Herb. So yeah, we have our basic. Let me get rid of my cubes that I've just managed to create a bunch of. So I literally once again forgot what I was doing with the AI. Behavior trees. I was creating. Okay, so it's basically different behavior trees is what I was trying to do. That was the goal of this entire thing that I keep forgetting. Creating different behavior trees that we can basically drag and drop into the player and set things up. That's what I meant. I've been friggin' trying to remember. Like right now we have our patrolling map, and we'll patrol from start to end and continue on from point to point based on how we've set up our enemy here. So like he set up in a loop, or we set him for one time, or we set up the reverse version of that. Yeah, let me make sure he still works. So I'm pretty sure we were done here. If I could double check. And I apologize to anyone who's watching and is completely confused, because I got not distracted, but I helped people over the last week. We started working on this literally a week ago, and then Wednesday and Thursday we started doing other things for other people. I wasn't smart enough to remember to write down what the next thing I was going to work on was, and I basically have become lost again. But we are basically trying to create more advanced AI was the goal here. We made a basic patrolling AI here. We need to make a. It looks like the smart thing to do would be make a kind of like a basic sensing type thing, which would work on the EQS. But maybe we could do kind of a. Let's see if we can do. Let's see. So that would be a. Let's find out. Let's open up our behavior tree for patrolling. And what we'd want is, as the player is going along, see our find next point, our move to. We have no interrupt. Well, our best bet would probably be have a task that looks for the player and sees if it can find the player. So let's try that. Let's just do a new task, and we'll set this up for finding the player. That's what we're going to do. And, well, we want this to find player, or, let's do this, player in range. Player... Let's try to break this down as simple as possible. Let's give ourselves the most amount of options available. So, for example, we'll do one for is the player in the range, and then we'll do another one for player in sight. So that way we're not assuming two things. So we'll try to do something really simple with this one. And of course, it's been a week, so I forgot how we do tasks. Execute AI, okay. So we're going to override execute AI, and we want to find the target. We want to see if the target is within range. So somehow we're going to have to keep track of what our target is. So here's our valid target. Which are we using this here? See, we're not using this here. And inside of here, we don't have a key. So somehow we're basically going to have to determine what our valid target is. And if we have multiple, how do we want to care about doing this for multiplayer? Let's not do that. Let's do a new key, or a new key called object, and this will be the player object, player actor actually. We're going to go with player actor. Open up our object, change this to actor, and this is where we're going to store the player's actor variable. So yeah, so we'll do that, and we're gonna run this task. This variable needs to be set, so we're gonna need to actually set this somewhere. So this is find valid. So we're gonna have to make a new task. So let's make a new task here. Of course, AI. You can't make tasks in here, can you? You know, that's kind of annoying because tasks get created wherever the frick your blue behavior tree's at. That is just really annoying. Okay, well, I don't like that at all, unless there's something I don't know about tasks. So this will be find player. Find player? Shoot, that's not properly named, is it? What this task is going to do is basically grab the player for wherever it's at, and we only want to do this once, basically. And what's useful is this also tells if the player's alive or not. So, I guess this will be set player. Yeah, you know what? Let's call this really stupidly named. Set player blackboard value. That's all we're going to do. Player set blackboard value. Okay. So, whoops. Let's actually create a override. This one should be pretty simple. So we're going to get player character. Let's not do that. Get player controller. And then we're going to get the controlled pawn. And then we're going to basically set the value. So set blackboard value as object. We need a key, so we're going to promote this to a variable. This will be the player active key. Make sure it's public because I always forget to do that. And in theory, this should be it. All this should do is basically set that. Now, we probably want to do a valid check in here. Because, well, I guess technically if we don't get one, it's going to return it back as null, right? Yeah, okay. That should work for us. That should work. Okay. So that should allow us to set our value to this right here. This should now become valid. So let's just see if we can take our patrol and add that into here. So let's run that as a first task right here, just because we can. So we'll run a new task and we'll do set player blackboard value. Now, if we did this properly, which God knows if we did. Well, we didn't, obviously, because I wasn't smart enough to return this. But if we found it, this should be of set. That's what I was trying to do. So let's find our stupid, where's it at? Set blackboard value. Yeah, I kind of have to return, but finish the execute. Because if you don't actually finish the execute, then, well, you can't actually go on anywhere else. There we go. So here's this, and that obviously did not work. And everyone's having a great time in chat, which is awesome. They are talking about, what are they talking about? I remember what they were talking about. Oh, data tables and blueprints and arrays for the hex grid stuff. So that is awesome. But I also. So this is failing. Oh, okay. So this is failing because, once again, I'm a dum-dum. So it would be smart if we actually set this to the proper value. Because, you know, why not? And this one is, this is an issue. So we need to fix that still. That's what it was. We ended up breaking, that's right. We ended up changing something. But there we go. Here's the player. That's what I was trying to do this entire time. Now we have a task that we can simply call from anywhere. It's going to find the player controller for 0. So basically, single player game. It's going to grab our player controller. It's going to find out which pawn is currently being controlled. And it's going to set the value. And in theory, if we destroy our player, so let's see if we can easily do that. Because why not? So let's grab our character in here. Let's just put up a simple key in here. We'll put I, because I like the I key. And we'll call it destroy, and we'll destroy ourselves. So in theory, if we hit I, which didn't work, of course, Seriously? Everything's going through the stupid player controller. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Let's find our player controller. No. Dagnabbit. You know what? I've ran into this stupid issue before. Why do I have this issue? Seriously, why do I have this issue? I've ran into this problem before. No, I swear. And honestly, half of this is due to the fact that I'm using the, yeah, okay, so the issue is I'm trying to create this inside of the third-person character, which is not what I'm using inside of my example. I'm using this one. Yeah, so see, if we were smart, we would have actually had been using the correct blueprint. There we go. So now when I destroy myself, we should be gone. We should be able to go back to our patrol and set to none. So let's actually watch that. So right now we have our player actor. And this should call every single time it basically moves. But if we were to really quickly wait for him to go to, let's wait for him to go to the next patrol point because it's farther. We'll hit I, we'll go back to here. We still, yep, there we go, none. So we are good. Good. So that's, I just want to make sure that was going to come up with none, which was our point. Because, for example, if we have the AI chasing the player and then the player gets destroyed, we don't want the AI to continually try to chase a null object, or technically a destroyed actor because it's gone. We're going to want to be able to abort, for example, if we want to. Okay, so there we go. So we know this one works fine. Now, you probably want something to check. I'm thinking we want something to check for the player as a service, because services run all the time. So basically, we can put a service under our patrolling and then abort our patrolling sequence and turn it into a find sequence. I'm gonna say that's probably right, but who actually knows? It's been a while since I worked on AI, so things are definitely going to have an issue here. So it's definitely going to be our tick. This is basically whenever this gets called, and let's rename that since I don't like it. So this is going to be our service. Is player near. We're going to call that. We're going to call service is player near. That's what we're going to do that. So this task right here, we're player in range. We might need it, we might not. Whatever. We'll figure it out. So this is the service is player near. Let's test and debug. Make sure I'm doing this right. Let's see. Is there a finish execute on this one too? No, I think it's just pretty much the tick. I don't think these have to execute, if I remember correctly. But again, we'll figure that out here in a bit. Add service is player near. Tick every basically half a second. And let's see if that worked. There we go. So every half a second, our service should be running while he's moving, which is what we want. We're going to want it basically if the player's near it while it's patrolling, we're going to do something. Cool. So we know their service is at least done correctly. And apparently I misspelled that. So let's spell that properly. Service. There we go. Okay. So we have a service to determine if the player is near, and what we'll do, because the service is, yeah. We'll basically not be patrolling at that point. We'll basically abort our patrolling. So this is one of those ones, yeah. So we're basically going to, this is probably why I created a variable before, but basically the thought here is we enter our tree, we have a selector, this is basically going to fire off when one of them succeeds. This is what we're going to want to do to patrol, and we'll have another one over here for searching for the character, fighting for the character, whatever we're going to do. So if the player is near, we're going to abort patrolling and we're going to fire off our next branch. That's our goal. Remembering how to do this is where the fun part is. So we already know we have a player. So we need a variable in here. And this is a Blackboard key. And this is going to be a Blackboard key selector. Right here. Make that editable. Let's go back and set it before I forget. And this is the player actor, because that's who we want to check against. So we're going to grab this and right. Get Blackboard value as actor. This should give me the actor that's attached. And if we do a sphere trace, wait, no, overlap. We do the overlap trace. Let's see. Capsule. Let's do a sphere overlap actor. Let's try this. I think this will work. Sphere position should be where our AI is at. So control pawn, actor location. So this is where we want to be. Let's see if anything's within 200 of us. We want it to be of object type, that one technically. I guess we can do pawn, but no, we want something specific. Let's see, can we do get class? Let's give me the result I want. Because I can't remember if the filter gives us only the ones we want or all of them. Yeah, we'll figure it out, right? That's the whole point of this. See if we can figure this out. Okay, we'll do print string. And we'll see. So this should, in theory, if it hits anything, give us something. Yep, so I do need an object type, which I had a feeling I was going to need. So let's make an array here. And this will be of type pawn. Ooh, this is starting to get ugly. I don't like the way this is looking. Because I can't, the biggest thing is I can't remember if the filter is a don't look for this stuff or only look for this stuff. Yeah, but that was the biggest question, because if you think of filter, does that mean only the things in this filter get through, or only the things in this filter get blocked? And that's why I hate when they name things like that. I don't use the overlap nodes very much. I usually use just the line traces, because I like seeing the line traces. Okay, let's see what happens here. I literally have no idea what's going to happen. Okay, well, look at that. We got a 1. Okay, so there we go. So now I can tell if the player is near. And we can set that variable in here in terms of sphere radius. So let's, what would be the smartest way of doing this? And this is not using the EQS system. If we use the EQS system, a lot of this stuff we wouldn't have to do. They're already defined. But that's not what we're doing. We're doing something really simple here. So let's find our AI. And our AI already has a couple different variables. So let's give a new variable called, let's call it site radius. I don't even know if radius is the right word. Let's go with site being the right radius. When you already have the reference to the actor, though, isn't it enough to do get distance to? Probably. There is more than one way to do everything. Get point distance. Wait, no, that's not it. Isn't just distance? I think it's just distance, right? Oh, get distance too. There we go. Yeah, we could probably do that one up. I think the reason I was using this one was I was used to AI checking is what it was. Checking to see if anything you're hitting is other AIs. No, I don't know what I want, Harry. That's the whole point here. I'm literally just typing stuff and seeing what happens right now. You have a good point, though. Get distance to is probably more efficient. And technically, since this service is called is player near, we should probably do the distance to node, because this will technically. But if we have more than one AI, no, but we already have the target, so that was the whole point here. We already have the target right here. But if we have multiplayer, but even then we have one. Oh, crap. No, but even then, no, this is getting the class. Son of a gun. Yeah, see, yeah, you guys are giving me great feedback here, which is causing me to question right now. If we left it like this and we had a multiplayer game, because all of the players should be the same class, in theory, this should give us back all of our players. But if this is a single-player game, this should be as effective in terms of returning the result we want as get distance to. Technically, this is called is player near. I'm not going to make this for multiplayer, so let's go ahead. This was a good idea, and I liked it, and we should be able to just simply replace it. Whoops. Let's not delete everything, shall we? We should be able to replace it with this node right here. So I liked that idea. There are so many different nodes. I usually just go with the nodes I'm used to when I do things. I always forget about all the other nodes. That is why I appreciate all the feedback, so we can see all the different ways of doing things. Yeah, and that's just going to give us. Okay, so that works in terms of getting distance, and then we can just set our distance based on the enemy's sight radius right here. We'll set this to 400. So in theory, crap, this is a service. Oh crap, I can't remember. Oh crap. Okay, so there's a way to stop the service is what I'm trying to do. Yeah, no, yeah, in regards to the line trace, all I'm doing, I'm trying to break this out as much as possible. I plan on doing a line trace separately. Was the original idea here. And I'm not going to, yeah, the EQS, or the AI perception system, is completely, yep. See, everyone's jumping ahead, basically. Use the AI perception system. Wouldn't it be better to just use pawn sensing and add sight to this AI? All that's correct, but that is a more advanced topic. The point of this is just to be able to do basic AI using just the behavior trees without anything special. That is the goal of this one right here, which is what we're hopefully trying to do. Cast to AI enemy. So if this is enemy calling this, yep. So no, you guys are all. We're basically recreating the basics, is what we're trying to do. Sight radius. If the distance to is less than or equal to the sight radius, then go ahead and press the. And what I can, you are hear me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, so nothing should happen. Yep, yeah. Moving over to EQS and the perception system and all that is something I plan on doing. Definitely. But right now, it's more of getting the basics, because it's just honestly getting the basics, trying to get as much information as possible out there with the basics. And we're trying to make it kind of like a little adjustable, adaptable system, so that way we can show that, here's how you'd make being able to find the player, and here's the pitfalls you're going to run into, and then blah, 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 blah. You guys are literally seeing it all happen. But we're good here. class defaults. I'd have to know. I guess we could technically do that, right? To make it super generic. That's definitely not giving me back the result I want there. That's the AI controller class anyway, so that's definitely not what I'd, yeah, get class. That's what I meant to do. There we go. But technically this isn't... Yeah, see, I don't think that's going to work unless I cast to it. Because technically the class defaults for this pawn are going to be an AI character. Which is only going to give me back these ones. It's a good idea. Let's see. Do you know about the 3-month free thingy on Pluralsight from Microsoft? I'm guessing it's part of the... I don't know what. I think they call it Visual Studio Essentials or something like that. I think that's what they call it. I'm guessing that's what it is. The Microsoft does a lot of that stuff. Let's see, Lex, what are we making? We are just simply trying to improve upon our AI knowledge and adding in more robust services and tasks. Right now, we're just trying to get a basic, is our player near service running? So basically, if our player is near us within a certain radius, we are telling it it's near us. Trying to do this not using the EQS system. Because we're going to be able to make this where our existing patrolling setup, if it sees the player, it's going to go ahead and go to the player. Now, there is a line of sight, though, right? Or what's it called? Yeah, line of sight, too. So, let's see. This is near me. So if it's near, let's see if we can do a line of sight, too, as well. So now we'll basically see if we can combine these two things together. So this is just near us. And then this is going to check and see, I can see you. Stream. Okay, and this one should be pretty simple. We have two controllers, basically. We are going to have the controller for the AI, which is right here. And keep in mind, this is meant to be ugly right now. There's definitely no cleanup here. And then, let's see, can we get the controller of the pawn? Yeah, probably. Okay, cat, you're not helping, like literally. Let's see, viewpoint, this is if we need to adjust it other than from the center. So let's see if that works, shall we? Okay, so obviously that didn't work. Oh, no, wait, there we go. It did work. Okay, so, wow, that is... Definitely got to be near it, don't you? If you're on the other... It's probably not going to work because of... Yeah, because going from that center to this center is probably getting blocked by the wall. Okay, so maybe in adjusting that would be smarter. I'm wondering if it would be smart to assign a... Yeah, see, the view target's eye position. So I guess technically... Now I know the eye position on the enemies generally... See, we don't have a camera inside of our enemy, right? So where's the default eye position going to be? You're in here somewhere. There we go. 64 above collision center. And our collision center is here. So I guess that would probably be right. Okay, so that's probably right there. I'm thinking maybe it's due to the fact that we literally have him... Yeah, see, because he's down there. So yeah, that's probably right. So if we... Let's expand our enemy's default sight radius. To something like 1500. Okay, so he can see us. He can't see us because of the wall. I was hoping he could see us now. This is what I'm testing. So he can see us here. Because I have a feeling it's checking the center point of my player. Which is probably fine. It's one of those issues where he can't see us now because we can't see him. His head's gone. See, this is... I figured he could see us now. But he couldn't. This is one of those things where, I mean, again, we're just going to make some basics, and you definitely have to tweak a lot of stuff. Oh, I wonder if 1500 is not enough for that. Yeah, okay, you know what? If in doubt, make your numbers really, really big to eliminate stupidity. He should not be able to see us. Yep, we're good there. See, I figured he could see us right there, but he can't. Unless it's being delayed. See. I wonder if I have something invisible somewhere. Yeah, you would think that entire corner over there he could see me, right? Well, that's just an oddity that I'm not really going to be too concerned about, to be honest. I don't even know what this is. That's a path point. Okay. That's just definitely a weird one. But the point is, we have our basic setup here. We have something that works, technically. We have the ability to see if the player's near, and we have the ability to see if the player can be seen. Which is what I cared about here. What is alternate checks? Oh, I have no idea what that is. Let's check that and see what happens. Because why not? Well, it didn't solve that issue, but that's kind of cool. We'll uncheck that for now. Okay, so anyways, not a big deal. So we have our task, and our task needs to be able to now affect other stuff. We basically need to tell this thing to stop patrolling. Now, can we abort? Here we go. But I don't think... Yeah, see, these are tasks. These are tasks. Because what we want to happen is basically this service checks to see if our player's near every so often. And if it is, I guess technically the service is intended to do something. Well, tasks are intended to do something. Services are more intended to check things, and these are more like booleans. So I guess technically our service should set a variable and abort our decorator. Would be the smarter thing to do. Right here. So let's go back to what we have here then. Let's add our key for is patrolling. And let's see about fixing a couple things. I think the issue we ran into was we couldn't set the default for it. I'm feeling that's what we ran into. Hello, Alex. Yeah, because on here we want a variable blackboard key. It's going to be a blackboard key selector. This will be equal to, whoops, make it public, since I always forget that. Close our enemy and close their service. We don't need those for now. Set this to the is patrolling, and this will basically allow us to set is patrolling. Where'd it go? Where am I? There we go. So we want to grab this. I'm going to set as a boolean. And we're going to set this to true, or we're going to actually set this to whatever our value is in here. So is patrolling, check, return node, copy this down here. This one could definitely use a little bit of cleanup, it looks like. And this one's always going to be false. Yep, okay. So that should set our variable. What do you mean? Oh, I need the key. There we go. So now if we run this, this should be, yeah, so this should be true or false. So the problem I was having is duh. Um, this is a board, right? I want to say, or unless this is I want to say that was it. Self, right? No, you are self. No, you're not going to plug in. Nope, because you're a task. So why are we? Oh, because you're inside the function. No, this is a decorator. Duh, not a task. Okay, gotta stop doing that. Um, oh. Hold on a second. Let's not be a dum-dum here. I really need to start setting some variables inside of here. That would be the smart thing, but you know what? Why not? Let's see over here. Wait, don't we already cast this at one point? Your enemy, there we go. Set patrolling. That's right. This is what the issue was. There we go. Okay, let's try this. Okay, cool. So he stops because he can see us. That's what I was hoping to do. Yeah, we don't need... I gotta remember that. We don't need... I don't need this. I don't need that at all. I've got to remember I don't need that. I keep forgetting that we have this set up where we have our patrolling inside of the character. And actually, we should probably change our patrolling into an enum is what I'm thinking. Patrolling, searching, standing, something like that. So we'll basically set up a basic state machine with a basic enum state for our character. That would be smart. There we go. So now when it sees us, it should stop. And our behavior tree should basically be in the stop state because this is set to false. Good. Now, the problem here is our service is in the wrong spot. This is never going to execute. Here, let me grab my AI enemy. Let me turn his sight radius way down. And if I remember correctly, yeah, this is not going to fire off once he gets next to us, which is obviously an issue. Yeah, okay, cool. So this one should probably be here. That way it is continually firing off. Okay, cool. And there we go. Now it's still firing off even though we've set our patrol to false. Let's see. When do you use cast nodes? You use cast nodes when you need to talk to something specifically. It's just as simple as that. For example, this is giving me back my pawn. It's just simply a pawn. Is it the player? Is it the enemy? Is it Super Mario in another game? We don't know what this pawn is. We don't know specifically what it is. So we have to cast to the specific version of it so we can talk to the specific version. Because the AI knows about patrolling, whereas the player doesn't, whereas Mario knows how to collect coins and use the fire flower. So that's what your casting is for. Depending on how you have your game set up, you may not need to cast. So that is something to keep in mind. It all just depends on your inputs and your outputs. If you're just talking back and forth between things and you're using like blueprint interfaces, then you don't need a cast. But in the case like Harry's bringing up, a raycast gives you back an actor, and you don't know what actor it is. So technically you don't need a cast. Using a raycast, you could just use interfaces and implementations. But if you want to know specifically what it is, then you have to cast. And if a cast fails, it just simply goes to here. You have a cast fail node. So in this case, for example, I could see if it was the enemy. If it wasn't, I could see if it was the player. If it wasn't, I could see blah, 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 blah. You can just continually go down. But because this AI is only attached to my enemies, I know this is going to succeed. That's the way it's designed. Okay, so we have this. We're good here. Technically, if we want to put in something else here, we would be good. So we should probably. I'm gonna screw myself up right now, but I don't care about that. Let's make a new decorator because I can. Of course, I can't in here. I have to go back into here. New decorator, base decorator. We're going to go back out of here. Go back to here. Rename the decorator. 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 Gee, criminy. Is. So how do I want to have this? We have patrolling. We'll have attacking. We'll have seeking. Let's call it seeking. Or finding. Seeking? Huh. Hunting? No. That's a weird name. Seeking. We're patrolling. If we have something, we have a target. We found a target. I think we'll just call it basically is moving. Whoa. Apparently, I hit the cancel button on that. Decorator is moving to players because that's literally what we're going to be doing. And the nice thing is, if we copy this over here, oops, move over to here. Now we find our is patrolling, and we find our moving to player nodes. We can just copy paste. So let's just copy because I can, and let's. What do you have? Let's execute condition check, right? Condition check AI. Delete that because we're going to replace it in a sec. Delete. It's not going to let me delete it. Seriously? Now can I delete it? Thank you. So obviously we need to change these things now. So you know what? Honestly, I think we're going to do the. I keep saying the word honestly like 4 times. We're going to put our enums into our AI now because if we don't, we're just going to end up annoying the hell out of me shortly. So let's make a new enum and call this one AI state. Enum AI state. And boop, and boop. We're going to go with at least 3. So we're going to have, well, we'll go with idle. And we'll have patrolling. And we'll have is moving to, oh, I don't need to, is moving to player. I guess we'll do another one called attacking. And technically, we'll have one called dead. Yeah, that'll cover it for now. We'll go with that. We'll make a new enum in here called AI state. And I don't know why I called it AI state. We'll call it current state. And it's going to be of type AI state. And we will default it to idle. There we go. So now we're going to remove the patrolling and get that changed. So we're going to have to definitely change some of these things in here. So, well, I'm talking about it. Why don't we just do it? So in the case of is patrolling, we're going to change that to setting a current state to patrolling. Like that. Now in the case of this right here, is patrolling false, when does this occur? Stop. So technically, this should be current state, whoops, setting the current state to idle. So we'll go with that. There we go. Now where else do we have patrolling? Nope, nope, nope. It looks like we're good. Let's see. Let's find references. Nothing in here. We have references in other blueprints, but we'll go fix those in a second. There we go. Then we should have some errors now and a bunch of stuff. That's just what I was hoping for. Good. So this should be pretty simple. We'll get the AI state. AI state. Didn't I? No, I called it current state. We'll get the current state. And we'll see if it's equal to patrolling. And that's basically the same thing as right here. So what do we have that plugged into up top? I literally have no idea why I just did. No, this is the right one. Okay, good. Never mind. I realized I said that. Didn't know what I was doing. Okay, there we go. So if we are patrolling, we return patrolling. If not, we're going to return back nothing, which is what we want. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so that one should be fixed for patrolling. I think we're going to have an error here. Yep. Okay, good. This one we need to fix. So this one's equal to moving to player. So move these out of the way. We'll go with the state. Get the current state. So equal to moving to player. Return true. Let's see if I can organize this a little better. Yeah, there we go. So that one should be fine. We still have one more blueprint. That's no. We're good. We good? Okay, no more blueprints. I'm pretty sure we broke our enemy because of our decorator, our state checks, which is perfectly fine. Good. We broke it because we are not defaulting to patrolling. We're defaulting to idle. So if we changed our AI, where's our AI, and we change this to patrolling, I think it'll start working again. There we go. Cool. So now we have the ability to turn on and off patrolling, because in theory, if we were just simply now to toggle patrolling, it'll go ahead and do that. Cool. So we are good there. We should probably change that somewhere in our code at some point in time, but for now we'll just default to patrolling. What else do we got? We were working on moving to player. So this is our decorator for moving to player. So all we need to do is we'll do another sequence here. And we're basically going to do what we did here, but do it in terms of moving to the player. So we'll add a decorator called is patrolling. Now this one should fire off if we're patrolling. Not patrolling. Seriously, did I just do that? Its decorator is moving to player. That's what I meant to do. There we go. So now if we're moving to the player, then we're moving to the player. What do we want to do when we move to the player? Well, we're not patrolling anymore, so we should be stopped. So we're basically going to... well, we technically already have a player, but just to be safe, I'm thinking we should copy this task, because maybe in the small brief amount of time between stopping patrolling and moving to the player died. So let's make sure before we do anything we have a valid player. And then let's move to the player. And then we'll need to actually move to the player, not the current patrol position. So we'll move to here. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work. Let's find out. Let's edit our site radius to something retardedly large. And go from there. Let's see what happens. Well, we obviously did not do something right. Let's check it out here. So this is if our player is near. Technically, are we checking our distance anywhere? Let's see. Yeah, this is going back to, this is being called every time. So I think our patrolling is not being set properly. Oh, do we ever, yeah, look, there's our other one. I knew there was an, I told you, I knew there was another one that wasn't working. I don't know why this, this didn't error out. I knew there was an issue. Okay, so now we're going to set the state to moving to player. See, I wasn't crazy. I don't think so crazy, but it decided to fix itself for some reason. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. So we can get the basics working here. Oh, there we go. He can see me. Oh no! Ah! He's gonna get me. Cool. So, in theory, if I could somehow lose him, apparently I can't lose him by doing that. That was actually what I was hoping I could do. Maybe I can lose him on the box. There we go. Okay, so Technically, when I lose him, when I can no longer see him, I need to change it back to probably idle, then have like a little bit of cooldown and set it back to patrolling, something like that. And that's in here, right here. That's in this one right here. So if he's no longer near me, we need to set this to something else. And if he can't see me, we need to make sure he's set to patrolling. Assuming he should be patrolling. We're going to run into a problem in here because this is player near service is too specific. Ah, crap. This service is way too specific. Let's just make this work and then we'll break this out, is what we're going to do. Because technically, if this is a service that simply determines if our player is near or not, we should be doing some other things. We should not be setting our states. We are setting our states. We should not be setting our states. So we will deal with that in a bit. And for anyone who's wondering, yes, this is a ginormous mess of blueprints. But we're working on getting stuff working. Okay, so let's see if we can, there we go. So it knows it's near me, but it's still going to patrol. When it can see me, then it's going to try to get to me. And then when it can't see me, it should go back to patrolling. So it should go back to the first spot now, right? As long as I can stay away from it. Where's it at? It's hiding. It's over there, right? I think, yeah, there we go. See? So now it's back to patrolling. And then once it can see me, it can see me. Now it's going to try to get to me. And then once it can't see me, it should go back to patrolling. Like that. There we go. Obviously, this is kind of silly because there's no idle state or wondering where the character, setting it back to idle and stuff like that. But we have the basics of technically what I tried to do somewhere in here. Where did I try to go? Where did it go? There we go. Why is my phone making noise? It's supposed to be on silent. Let's fix that. There we go. Yeah, because we're technically trying to do something like this. Basic patrol AI that will pursue the player, and if they lose the player, they go back to their patrol. Now, the goal of doing what we're doing here with decorators, services, and tasks is to try to use building blocks to build out our behavior tree. And so far, it's pretty decent. This task, this service, checks to see if the player is near. And if it does, it aborts patrolling. Now, we shouldn't have it do that. That's kind of an issue. Technically, all this service should do is determine if the player is near or not, and then something else should take action. And I'm trying to remember how to do that. That's kind of my issue here. Because we look into here, in our giant mess here, the AI defaults to patrolling, and then once they can be seen, we tell them to move to the player. Now, is there a way to make this generic, is where the question comes in. If we had this inside of a decorator, anytime this node is ran, the decorator will... Decorators can't tick, correct? Override. Oh, okay, decorators... Oh, no, this is the tick on the AI. But they're going to tick every frame, and do we really want to tick every frame for seeing if our player is near? Well, Hannibal Lecter... This is definitely, because we know this is working. We know this works fairly well. This is pretty generic. As long as the AI is patrolling, it's going to go ahead and find the player. See, this shouldn't even be in here. This task should not be in here. Crap, this is in the completely wrong spot. Because what if we don't have someone patrolling and the player gets next to it? This technically setting the backboard value will never run. So this should not be here. This should be here. This should be not here. This should be under something else. I mean, technically... Actually, technically... Hold on, let me disconnect this. I can't remember how to disconnect. I seriously can't remember how to disconnect. You've got to be joking me. There we go. Oh, that disconnected everything. That was lovely. Now my thought is, yes, if it's connected like this, then we should be able to find the player first thing. And then go from there. So this should still give us the same... Let's see. No, because see, that's going to succeed. Crap. So we need a sequence. Okay, so seriously. Sequence is that, and then the sequence is a selector. Boy. It's all good. We can make this work. We just have to be smarter than the average tree graph. There we go. Because this should give me the result I want, even though it looks unorganized. Oh my gosh. Seriously. That should give me the result I want. There we go. Yeah, because so basically it's going to, yeah. Cosme basically answered it right as I was doing it. Every time this gets fired, first thing we're going to do is make sure we have a player. Now you're saying to put a sequence before your selector. So you think a sequence up here? Oh, I think I ran into it. Oh no, you know what? You're probably right there. Okay, here. This is what he's suggesting. Let's see if we can do that. He's saying do sequence before a selector, so we don't need this one. Let's discount all this stuff. I think this is what he's suggesting, like that. And then avoiding the second selector, like that. Yeah, I think that's what he's suggesting. I think I might run into an issue though. When this fails, no, we should be fine, right? Should be fine. Let's find out. That looks like it's fine. Okay. Yeah. No. You're right. That should work. It's probably one of those things I would have gotten once I started doing things. I wonder if there's any actual performance issue with the way I had it set up before with the extra node in there. I'll have to check it out. But the basics of this is, yeah, this is one of those things. You've got to friggin'. I wish there was a way to fire. No, technically we don't want to fire once, I guess, because we always want to check and make sure this is a valid value before we're doing things. So yeah, we're just basically making sure we set our player first, and that's probably smarter anyways. Because now the first time we run through this, we're gonna have a valid player. Because I think one time we ran this, we weren't gonna have a valid actual player to check against. Okay, so that works. We still technically have an issue here where we're hard coding things. But I'm wondering if there's any way around that. Basically, if the player is near, we want it to do something. Is what this service is for. So all this service is going to do is check for the player, and it's going to set the appropriate state, is what this does. So technically, this isn't even a is player near. I think we have to hard code basically our status. We can't do an enum in here, can we? We can do an enum. Can we do a decorator check against an enum? Then add a decorator that checks the player valid on player search node. Yeah. No, I'm yeah, you've got some good ideas there, Cosme, but I'm wondering if we can set We should, if there's a key, right? Can we... Okay, let's try something here. Let's do current state. Let's try something here, shall we? Yeah, state. Okay. So this is our current state. And bear with me, and if everyone's got any ideas, feel free to ask. This is, I haven't done any super advanced AI, and that's what I'm trying to work on here. And AI kind of gives me a little bit of a headache in terms of how crazy it is. Thankfully, it looks like some other people in chat might be better skilled at this, which is nice. Okay, so Cosmate, this is, and anyone else, I'm trying to see if it's possible to make this as generic as possible. So we have our is player near right here. And I want to be able to set variables inside of my blackboard so that way the blackboard and the behavior tree act accordingly based on those variables, based on the values I set in here, if that makes sense. For example, I want to be able to determine, okay, if the player's near you, do this. If the player's not near you, do this. That type of stuff. Right now, it's hard-coded. I have it set where if the player's near you, we're going to change it to moving the player. If the player's not near you, we're going to set it to patrolling. But that's hard-coded inside of here. I want the ability to set that basically soft-coded and have it defined in here. So that's the thought process on this one. Let's see. Blackboard state key. Let's see here. Key selector. Editable. Go back in here. This is going to be our current state. Whoops, where'd that go? I lost it. There we go. Let's see. You can set the variable. See, so I can set the variable inside of here. I guess, oh, then the decorator can check. The decorator could probably check the state then on the blackboard and then do something. Rather than check the player, have this decorator check the state. So then I could have just a simple decorator. Oh, you know what? I bet you, okay. I've got a stupid idea. Let's see if this works. Let's see if we can reverse it from setting these states on the player and set them inside the blackboard and then drive the blackboard from there. I think we might have something stupid here. Let's see what we can do here. So let's see, blackboard state key. We're going to set this as an enum like that. And crud. Really? I have to set it that way? Is there any way I can, maybe I can in here. Hold on a second. I called it AI state, right? In theory, I called it AI state. Sarah, did I? Byte enums. Ah, see? That's not what I wanted. I was hoping I could cheat. Make literal? You think that'll work? That would probably work, right? Make literal. Can you make it? You can't make a literal enum. AI state. Let's see. Byte enum. Literal enum. There we go. All right. That was horribly named. I just want to say that right now. I forget about literals half the time. Literals are one of those things where it seems so weird that you'll ever need them because you're literally just making something when you could have a variable for it, or most things have an input for that type. So when you actually need one, you're always confused on how to use it because you always forget about them. At least that's how I am. Okay. So we'll have this as patrolling. Boom, set our key there. And we'll have this one set as patrolling. And set our key there. pretty sure I'm screwing up something here because technically I'm just hard coding it inside of here now. Yeah, see, I'm just hard coding it inside of here. And see, this is what I wanted. Damn it. There's got to be another. This is technically not what I wanted. Yeah, you can't. How do we make. Oh, no, hold on a second. So I had an idea of what I thought might work, but it doesn't seem like it's going to give me what I want. Let me see something here. Yeah, because I can do this, and then I can have a Blackboard key to check against, and I can compare the two and make sure they're the same. So I can make my decorator work how I want it. I'm pretty sure I can make. So let's make a generic decorator while I'm in the middle of breaking things at this point. Let's see. So decorator is state. I duplicated that, right? There we go. Okay. So my thought process here is. Let's see. Grab the Blackboard key. Get as enum. It's equal to. That. So grab that, and then grab the valid state, like that. That should, in theory, allow me to have a generic decorator in here. So decorator is state, and basically set it up where the current state is equal to patrolling, and that should allow me to work. Jesus saves and compiles. Oh my god, I save and compile every second of every day if possible. Let me set these back to how I had them here a second ago for testing purposes. This is such a convoluted mess of a blueprint at this point, but I am curious about something here. So that one's fails. My selector comes in here. Let's see. Our current state is idle. And I want to check and see if our current state is patrolling. So technically this is good. So why is my current state idle? It's my default. Did I break my default state again? No, okay, cool. So we're fine there. So somewhere in my behavior tree. Yeah, okay. I think we're good. No, I mean, I think in theory we're good. I just don't know what I broke. But other than that, as the behavior tree runs, we get to our sequence here. Our selector is failing right here, our decorator. And our service should be running. Because our current state is set to idle. So, oh, yeah, duh, because I'm not, oh my gosh, seriously. I told myself I was going to go ahead and change this back to test it, but unfortunately changing it back kind of doesn't work. Yeah, I kind of need it in this method right here. Okay, so now we can look back at this. So our current state is still set to idle. Seriously? Why is our current state set to idle? This one is firing, right? And it should be setting our current state to Blackboard value, current state to, yeah, right? Okay, I'm going to go with I'm crazy here. Let's see. What are we doing wrong here? This should be called right here, right? Oh, did I? Oh, did I forget? No, okay, never mind. Never mind. Blackboard state key current state. I thought possibly I said that wrong, because I tend to do that. Where's it at? Where do we go? Right here. It's not firing. So why is this not firing? Why is our service not firing? Our actual service isn't firing. Okay. Maybe someone. Nope. No one figured out what I broke here. Okay, so let's see if we can figure this out. This is a giant mess. But for some reason, our service is no longer firing here. Here's our service that should be firing every roughly half a second. Let's double check and make sure I'm not just being silly here. No, our service is actually not firing at all. Well, I'll be darned. I managed to completely break my service. That is pretty good. And the only reason it shouldn't be working is if this one is failing, right? If this is failing, then my sequence will never successfully fire. Now, why is this one failing? Grabbing the controller, setting the player actor key, and finishing execute a success, right? Okay, well, we know that's calling. Oh. Well, we managed to completely break stuff, so let's just close. Whoops. I apologize for anybody who's extremely bored by this one. This was a very simple change that apparently completely broke everything. So let's open back up our behavior tree in our Blackboard. Here's our base sequence. Our sequence runs through here. Our selector should be firing off. Let's disconnect everything. And this should be firing. Our service is not firing. Unless I'm crazy here. Yeah, okay, so I have a feeling with our service down here back in the selector, it was causing an issue. So that's probably what it is. Our service was never actually firing because our selector never actually had anything to do. Yeah, no, nothing was going through the service, yeah. It's probably because of the fact that the selector was never firing at all because I failed on these ones. That's just weird. Anyways, that should not definitely be happening. Okay. So here we go. Now our current states are working properly. That's what I was trying to get working here. Good. Okay, so our basic this state one is now working. Yep, it has to be going past the service, not just into it. Yep, that's one of those fun things that you get to learn as you're doing behavior trees. Stuff that used to work fine because technically it wasn't working right. Now all of a sudden doesn't work right once things are working right. But we now have a generic decorator that we can have on here. So the generic decorator can check the current state and fire off rather than being a fixed decorator. So this is one step closer towards what I was aiming for. There we go. So now it's firing off properly. And now it'll move to the player like we wanted it. Unfortunately, he's too close to me, so I'm going to have a serious issue here. There we go. Nope. Oh, crap. You can still see me. Oh, crap. Not what I intended. Nope. 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 Damn it. How do I lose it? How? Oh, crap. This is going to be difficult. Okay. Can we lose him? Did we lose him? Yep. No. Yep. I'm sure this is a problem because I don't have my behavior tree firing off properly on this one. But cool. Oh, and then it also needs to be set to abort. So that's probably a small issue there as well. since I don't actually have a boarding name for it. Okay. Let's see if we can lose it. Oh, okay, that was a failure move right there. For testing purposes, I should probably turn the speed of the AI down, I'm thinking. There we go. Okay, now he's going back to patrolling. Now that I have it set to abort. Oh, now I can see me again. Crap. Okay, cool. But we know that's working now. We managed to take... The goal on that one was we took our is patrolling decorator, and we took our moving to player decorator. And we've managed to convert both of those into a generic is state decorator. So now we can basically determine these. We can just drop a decorator in, tell it what state we want to check for, and it's going to fire off things below it. So we've got half of that working now. Now we just need to be able to have this actually set the proper states based on what we want. So in here, in this giant mess, let me clear up the unneeded nodes for now. Like that. There we go. So in here, when we're setting these Blackboard values, we want to be able to set them based on variables. So what's the best way of doing this? Obviously, we can set a variable to a variable, so that's not a problem. So technically, we want this to be exposed, is what we want this to be. So let's do something like this. Can see player state and idle state and patrolling state. Technically wouldn't be idle state. Let's rename this from idle state delete. So you can see the player state, and we'll just go with can't see player state. That we can adjust these obviously later, but for now, this is what we're going to go with. And this will be an AI state. Wherever I hit it at, there we go. So this will be an AI state. Like that, there we go. So we're going to go with something like this. And this should let me accomplish what I want. So now instead of having that fixed value, this is going to be when you can see the player. And this is going to be when you cannot see the player. That, and can't see the player. And now we should be able to... Oops, let me get rid of this one. Don't need that hello there anymore. Now we should be able to go into here and we can change these. So when you can see the player, you're going to move to them. If you can't see them, we're going to patrol. Now everything... Oh, he's going to see me again. Dang it. Okay. I've had enough of that one. Let's make the player the pawn a little bit slower here, shall we? Character movement, pawn, wax, walk speed. He was getting a little bit frisky for me there. Okay. Once he can't see me anymore, oops, he should, there we go back to patrolling. There we go. And in theory, the nice thing about this, since we've now set it up generically, if he can't see the player, I should be able to set him as idle. And now he should chase me. And then when he loses me, he's lost me, he should do nothing. He should just stand there, because he's idle. And then if he sees me again, maybe it'll work? No. Okay, so I don't have it set to switch back to the fine state. But we have the ability now where inside of our behavior tree, we're not fixing anything. We literally have a generic service now called isPlayer, and if it's near the player, when it can see it, we have it do something, and when it's not seeing it, we can have it do something. And then our decorators are generic as well. They'll basically respond to whatever states we are. That was the goal we were trying to accomplish, and made a giant mess out of everything with. Which is good. I think I want to fix the issue we have there where our AI doesn't react accordingly once it's in the idle state, and then we will wrap it up for the day. So I'm going to guess it's an issue inside of here. Basically, let's see. So it's just a decorator on idle, basically, is what it is. Is it a decorator on idle? What do we want to do? Do we want to do a decorator on idle and have it do something, basically check for the player, or do we want, let's see, so what happens inside of here? This is our service task. Let's get rid of this. Let's clean this up here a little bit in a second. But our service task runs through here. Is it the AI? Yep. Are they within the site radius? Yep, because we know we end up getting this right here. Then we're setting our can see player state back to, yeah. So our problem is, let me figure this out. Let's walk through, let's debug our behavior tree, shall we? So here's our idle state. Let's go into our behavior tree. Failed. Our problem is our state is not being set properly. So our task is failing. Let's grab our task. And let's see, here it is. Our line of sight 2 check is failing? Why would our line of sight 2 check be failing? Not crazy, right? Let's get out of range so we're no longer near it. Let's go back over here. It knows it's near me. Why is our line of sight check failing? That was not what I was expecting. Let's see, target is the enemy and it's targeting the player. Our viewport's good. So this is fairly interesting. And I noticed it did fail the last time in the exact same spot. Let's see if we can get it to fail in a different spot this time. Okay. Oh no, look, yeah, see, it's working. So our code is working fine. Actually, it's not an issue with our code because it is setting it back to moving once he can't see me. He should go to idle. Yep, see, so he's at idle. And then when he can see me, he's going to go in control. Yeah, so we're good. Our code is actually working fine. I'm too far away from him at this point. Yeah, see, so our code's fine. The problem is, for some reason, the actual line of sight check is failing horribly. Right here. Okay, so this is more of a bug in either the game or our line of sight check or something like that. It's not an actual issue with our code. Well, I mean, if you want to get exact, technically it is an issue with our code because our code's failing. But this is our issue right here, our line of sight too. Might be better to use something like a line trace or a little bit more intelligent of a line of sight check. Keep in mind we're not using the EQS system on purpose. We're just trying to make something quick and dirty. Learn the basics, learn how the things work and things like that. But we know this is more of an issue with this node right here. So this node sucks, fix this. Oops, and let's actually put a to-do in front of that. So that way we know that's where our actual issue comes from. But other than that, our actual keys are working properly, our states are working properly, our character can do what we want. We should technically have an attack state and stuff like that when it gets next to it, an idle, set it to idle, set it to attack, and things like that. But we know it's working, which is kind of cool, actually. I want to say that's basically going to wrap it up. If anyone else can see any questions, any problems, any issues, any things like that, let me know, and I'll see about plopping them in here and fixing them before we end. But we've been streaming for 1 hour and 45 minutes, so it's near 2 hours at this point. We did technically accomplish what I wanted. I got to clean up the basics. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to clean this up before we go. So Kazume's got a question. Feel free to ask your question. I want to clean this up right now. I'm not happy with this. This stuff is going way too many places. Technically, this is the pawn controller, right? Yeah. And this would be the pawn. This would be the pawn. We'll just call it control pawn. Yeah. There we go. Let's see about fixing some of these nodes. So we want to figure out where this one goes to. That's the controller, right? So here's our pawn controller. And this one is going to be, where do we have all these going to? That's the pawn. It's going there. So we'll put this back over here. Put this back up. Let's see, where else does our pawn go? Right there. So we'll put it up into there. Okay, so that clears up a little bit of our initial ugliness. And then this stuff here, I can clean up here and here. Let's see, this, here. Get distance to, because all this stuff is technically over here. It's way out of place being over there. That's simply because that's how we set it up. There we go. That. Sight radius. So this is our check for the radius. This is our line of sight to check, which should be here. Technically, this stuff should be up here. So how can we shoot? Is there an easy way of cleaning this up? Because this just looks ugly, in my opinion. I mean, technically, I could move the false up here. You know what? I think I'll just move the false up here. It's not normally what I like, but it allows me to clean this up a lot better. Like that. See? So we can actually have this like this. So that way it flows through there, that flows through there. And yeah, this one could be down here because it's fine. That's false. There we go. So that at least, there we go. Now we at least have a flow that you can follow. We don't have crap on top of each other. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's not a little bit better. That's a lot better, to be honest. Let's see. Kazumi. Way to make AI's rotation smooth or slower and still be able to use AI rotate towards. I just don't want my entities to snap backwards when turning, which uses controller rotation. I guess technically you could lurk the rotation. That's probably what you're intended to do. But this is definitely one issue you pretty much find in most games. Honestly, if you play games, if you even watch AAA games and stuff like that, unless they're using an animation system where the rotation's animated, you're pretty much just going to see a character snapping around as it rotates. And it's the way games work. The other normal option is basically animation. You don't really rotate it using the nodes. You use group motion based animations, and you would basically play your animation for your rotation and then unlock the character once it's in the correct spot. Now you're talking rotate, right? Is there a rotate? There's no rotate towards node. So you're talking about the AI move to? Because if you're talking about AI move to, and you're talking about when they turn, then yes, you're basically talking about an issue that is normal. So if we're talking about, for example, here's my character, and when he's going to go back to his point, he's basically going to flip like that. Oh, is there a node for rotating? This is the move to node. That's what I'm using now. Rotate towards blackboard entry. Oh, yes, there is. Rotate to face. Well, if you're using that one, then it's gonna basically, I believe this one's just simply intended to work normally. Are you saying that he flipped smoothly? Let's see. Good. Take a jump. Well, everything you're seeing in there, his rotating. Technically, he's not. Well, okay. Technically, he's rotating, but he's not rotating. If that makes any sense. He's using. This is using the normal. Stupid. Let's see. Mannequin animations. It's using the anim blueprint for that rotation. Is the biggest issue here. Here we go. So you have your, let's see, where is the add blueprint? Event graph. Where is the big event graph? I hate finding this thing. I literally can never find it. There we go. Yeah, it's basically just using the basic animations to turn it, and all I'm using is the normal. Unfortunately, because it's animation, I really wish I could give you an exact answer and reason why, but I don't know it. I know that this is one of those issues that people are working on. It's using like the root motion for the animations for AI. I had someone ask me some questions about this, and I went looking into it as best as I can. I mean, if you notice, technically when he turns, watch when he turns up here and he goes around the edge, he's snapping at like 45-degree angles as he comes around that edge. He's not even using like a smooth rotation. So you're technically, if you watch him going from one location to another here, he is going from one location point to another. You're just simply seeing the body rotating over time, rather because it's using the anim tree here. So it's basically rotating from one speed to another, which is why it looks like he's not snapping. Maybe it's in your animations then, and I don't have any information on that one. Try grabbing the default third-person character and dropping it into your existing setup like you have now, and see if it works. Because if it works, then it's not your setup. It's just simply your animations. If it doesn't work, then it may be your setup. In terms of that rotate to face one, I believe it's intended kind of to be just like a look at node, where basically it's not meant to be smooth over time. You'd have to make your own task. Use something like the rotate. So let's see, where's the stupid my tasks? Thank you. You know, you have something like the not rotate toward. Dang it, what's it called? Look at. There we go. Find look at rotation. And you could always grab and lerp the lookout rotation over half a second or something like that, if you want to do it manually. And I know in regards to rotating the controller and the character, I did, when I was doing my research, there was an issue with AI. You have these options here. Check and see if this is turned on, because by default it's turned on, but for this one it has to be turned off to have the rotation work properly with the AI. This is another thing to look at. And if you see, it says the pawn's yaw will be updated to match the controller's control rotation. I know that this is one of the things that was brought up when I was looking into this as well. So yeah, maybe look at the use controller rotation yaw option inside your pawn which you're controlling. Is it this option right here? Yeah, hopefully that's what you're saying. Let's see what happens if we do that, because that's always fun. Oops. Okay, there you go. Yeah, see? So that's what you're seeing right there. Okay. Yeah, so that's the option to fix that in theory. But the rotate node in the behavior tree, which is possible, the rotate node of the behavior tree won't work. These nodes that are in here that are built in are generic nodes. You might have to just do your own task node, like we were looking at here. You have your look at, if I can spell it properly, you have the look at rotation node. So you can use this node to drive your proper rotation, and then make your own task node. So basically, we have the rotate to face BB entry node here. Figure out what it does in terms of, it's basically whatever Blackboard entry we have set up is what's going to rotate to face. This rotate node only rotates the controller. If we're talking about this one, where'd it go? Where'd the node go? I know it's in here somewhere. If we're talking about this node, you mean this node only rotates the controller? Because, I mean, if that's the case, then just make your own node. You have your actor. You have the ability to rotate the mesh on the actor or set the rotation on the capsule, for example. I think you'd want to probably set the rotation on the actor, which would be the capsule. More than likely on the root. Yeah, just rotate the actual actor. I mean, you have your own task here, right here, and you get the pawn. You get the actor rotation, and here's your look at rotation. You can set the rotation. So you have your control rotation right there, but you should be able to set the actor rotation as well. If I turn that one on. Let's see, actor rotation. Let's getting the actor rotation. That was silly. Set actor rotation. You could fill in. I mean, technically, if you did something just like that, wouldn't that rotate it? Okay, let's see if we can figure out. Let's see if we can make a task for facing the player, shall we? Let's find out if we can do this. Let's see. Behavior tree. Let's see. Task. Look at player. That was me copying it instead of moving it. Task. Look at player. I don't know. Let's see. Seriously? Thank you. Okay. So, override, receive, execute AI, first, set, look at rotation. I don't know, let's find out. No, seriously, set actor rotation. Let's see what we can, if we can do something here, shall we? Let's see, we got Blackboard entry for our player, so let's find variable, Blackboard key. The funny part about this is in my actual AI stuff from last year, I do have a task node to do exactly this. I already created one. Because that was one of the things I worked on, was getting it to look at the player. I don't know how well it worked, but it's technically in there. Okay, so this one's going to be the get actor. Right? Okay, there we go. The Blackboard values actor. So this is going to be the oh my gosh, okay. Fine, look at rotation. Thank you. See, this stuff is way more difficult than it could be if I was thinking smartly. So we want the pawn location to look at the player's location. That's our goal here. Okay, so all this node should do is have it set the actor rotation. That's literally all it should do. And then there's an end execute, right? Finish execute, there we go. With the success. Actually, we'll just feed that into there because we can. Okay, so let's see how this one works. And yeah, in terms of lerping without the timeline, we'll work on that one here in a bit. Let's just see if we can get this working at this point in time. That's kind of our goal here. So behavior tree, control, and let's just disconnect the selector here and move him. Oh, we can't move just him. Oh, rude. Selector, and then actually no, we want a sequence, right? Okay. So this is going to be really silly, but we don't really care about that right now. I don't even remember what I called it. Look at player, there we go. And this should be the player actor. Okay, there we go. So that works in terms of rotating. So that will get me, that'll get me a rotation. Shoot, I'm calling this, technically if we look at this, it's calling it every single time it ticks. So, I mean, technically if you call this task before it does anything, you don't need to lerp. But getting the current location. I mean, technically, if you put a lerp in here between the current and the other one, it should eventually go down to go from here and because it's technically not going to give us what we want. Yeah, it's not going to work mainly because of the fact that let's see, going from current rotation. Here's our actors rotation. Yeah. And without an alpha, it's not really going to give us what we want. Yeah, basically it's not going to care. And if we set this, of course, to 1, then it should be normal, which is what we want. So if you set it to something like 0.95, it should always try to get there as best as possible. Slightly. You're going to have a little bit of an issue from time to time, it looks like. I guess the question on that one, Kazume, is you have the lookout node. So, okay, so let's see if we can integrate the lookout node into our movement. I'm guessing, here, let's grab our boot behavior tree. Let me hook this back up. Let me disable this task. And when we run this now, technically it, rotates, stop it. It doesn't look at the player. So I'm guessing you want to look at the player while it's running is the key. Yeah, you're not going to be able to do a timeline inside of a task because a task executes. The other option is technically you could put a task inside of a service and have that service run and have it simply because, I mean, keep in mind the tick is every 4 seconds to 6 seconds. I mean, there's lots of stuff you could do. I'm curious on when do you want it looking at the player? I mean, do you want it looking at the player at all times? Is that the goal here? So, like, for example, if it's going backwards, you don't want it looking at the player, right? But when it went up, you want it looking at the player? I mean, is that the issue? Sounds like you want it looking at the player when they're fighting, but I mean, at that point in time, if it's in combat, you could always simply have it look at the player every tick, no matter what. Because if you look at games like, again, it depends on the type of game, but if you look at a game like most of your MMOs, Warcraft and things like that, when you are next to an enemy and you move left or right, unless they're locked into an animation, it's an instant movement looking at you. You're not slowly moving from the old position to the new position. It's boom. It's right there. When I want to attack him, when I catch him, if he moves, so that I won't attack the space next to him. Yeah, I hate to say the words good luck, but even your multi-million-dollar AAA games still basically come to the conclusion that this is something that's going to happen, especially if your player is bunny hopping basically everywhere. You're not really going to solve that issue unless you prevent the player from moving. A lot of your games will have animations for the attacks, and the animation will basically lerp over time while it's playing towards the player's position. So, like, for example, they'll start the attack with a swing, like an overhead swing, and then during the overhead swing, the animation that's playing, the animation itself is rotated to face the player at all times. So that way, as the player jumps around them, the attack is still hitting the player by the time it's the end of the swing. But that's in your animation, and I mean, yeah, that's because you're not going to lock the enemy into their animation position. I don't think there's an honest answer to a proper way of doing this. It all depends on your game the way your animations are set up. I mean, do you have a start attack, swing in the middle of it, and your finish part of the animation? Do you have one animation that's start to finish? Do you have rotational animations that are meant to be in there? Is your player going to blend basically between rotating and attacking at the same time, or is it just one animation? Yeah, maybe that idea I just had there might be helpful in terms of a suggestion. If you have an attacking animation, once it starts that animation, just have it rotate. Because you're playing your animation somewhere, so just whatever keeps track of your attacking, just have a tick. I mean, okay, this is extremely, I don't know how stupid this is, but is there any reason what we're talking about in here needs to be part of the behavior tree for the looking at, if we're talking about for the attacks? Something somewhere calls your animation, and then your animation starts for your attack, for example. Set a flag on the player called look at or something, or focus player, for example, and have it basically lock your that look at code I had right here. Have it basically do this, where it's going to look at the player and then force the look, and then have it basically focus on the player as you're rotating, as you're doing your attack, and then when you're done attacking, it can stop focusing on the player. And then you can go back to your normal stuff type thing. Your notify system might work, for example. But basically fire off this code in the beginning of the attack, so that way it will always focus on the player while it's doing the attack animation. And then once the attack animation is done, you can unfocus it if this is kind of your sticking point, something that you really wish you want to have happen. Yeah, it's a good try. I mean, it's a good idea. It's a good start, hopefully. This was, yeah, I don't need that. I did. So that's our, so well, now we have a look at player task. So I guess there was a benefit on this one. We did a look at player task. But I think we are done for the day. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I lost a bunch of people, but, you know, I don't expect a bunch of people anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Let me save everything. Let me go ahead and go into here. We have this in place. We're going to clean this up. Wednesday. Wednesday. So we're going to clean this up on Wednesday. And then after that, we can work on a different set of AI. Maybe work on this one, assuming this doesn't take too long or I don't have any other questions. Basically, kind of like the opposite of what we have now, rather than once we find the player. So the nice thing about this is with our system set up like this, we have in here this setup. So if we do this properly, the can see player state, if we change this to fleeing, for example, then we just need to add a decorator in here called if the decorator state is fleeing, then we're going to do this. And we can technically keep this one thing and just change these things as needed and be able to just expand this and make it really customizable. So in theory, if we just simply set up a flee from character task, basically, the opposite of a move to, finding something safe, we can easily implement a fleeing task and make the changes super simple. So that'll be the goal on Wednesday. Tomorrow is Epic Stream, which I thought was extremely funny. They didn't announce this till after I started doing this last week, but they're going to have AI for their stream tomorrow. So hopefully that will be awesome as well, and I can pick up some stuff that I've done stupidly wrong and fix them. So tomorrow's Epic Stream will be on AI, so I will not be streaming tomorrow. My next stream will be Wednesday, approximately 10 o'clock Pacific, so roughly 2 hours before now is when I'll start streaming. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Feel free to contact me on, if I stop yawning, sorry about that. I have the blueprint page where you can see what I'm hopefully working on in theory once I clean it up. And you can make requests by adding a comment. Or you can comment on this video once it goes on YouTube, or on Beam, or on Twitch, or on Twitter, or on my email, which is in the About page of YouTube, along with this link. So you can get this on the YouTube About link. that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap up today. It's going to be about 30 seconds of dead air. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Hopefully some stuff got learned. If not, next time, everyone have a good rest of their day.